All right, so we're early into the season, and we're still 2 months away from the trade deadline on August 1st. But there are a couple of pitchers, starters, and relievers who I think will be moved at the trading deadline. So I wanted to throw these names out there. Maybe they're fits for Yankees, maybe they're not. But you let me know what you think. And if I miss somebody, let me know in the comments. And I'm going to do a lot more of this. So if you're not subscribed to this channel, please do so you don't miss Yankee news, baseball news of all kinds, and it's going to start getting a little bit more exciting now as the season starts to progress, and once we have a better idea what the market's going to look like. But Chris Sale is one of them for me. Got a couple years left with the Red Sox, but again, I think it's time for a change of scenery for him. They've already parted with several big players, JD, Xander, so I think it's time to get some type of prospect capital back from Chris Sale, who's showing that he's healthy again. So he's one. David Bednar, reliever from the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I know they kept Brian Reynolds, and I know I've always suggested or recommended if they were going to trade Reynolds, you might as well package him with Bednar. Well, they've extended Reynolds now, and I think Bednar is not as necessary as Brian Reynolds and the rest of the offensive piece at this point. I think their focus should be on extending their starter. Was that kid Mitch Haniger, I think his name is? And is Mitch Haniger or Mitch Keller? Mitch Keller, I think it is. Kid looks really, really good. So I think David Bednar will get moved for a package of prospects as well. And lastly, Texas starter Martin Perez, who's actually a pitcher I've suggested the Yankees look into in free agency at the end of the season because he will be a free agent. So I think Texas will continue to have, they've invested a lot in offense one year and in pitching this past year, and I think they're still going to have problems. So they still think of ways to go, and I think they're probably a couple years away from being more competitive with teams like the Houston Astros. And so I think he could get moved by, for a decent prospect or two, and to a team that isn't in need of starting pitching, which could be the Yankees. So we'll see what happens with Rodon and Severino and stuff. But I think those three pitchers are the most likely candidates to be moved. I'm not sure how many pitchers will be moved at trade deadline. It's still early to tell. I think more offensive players will be moved. But that said, these three guys I think are guys that could definitely be moved to contenders who need a piece or a valuable piece. So to me, the most attractive piece there is David Bednar, power reliever with 3 more years of control. And he's a beast, an absolute beast. So Sale, not as good as he once was, but it's still a formidable left-handed pitcher. And Martin Perez has been a crafty, kind of dependable left-handed pitcher too. So I could see any one of these guys being moved. As we get close to the deadline, I'll start giving you more insight, and I'll do my MLB trade deadline predictions and everything else too. And so I hope you don't miss that type of stuff. But let's stick to today. The Yankees are now they're playing against Toronto, in Toronto. So, and here's tonight's lineup. We got Jake Bauer is leading off in left field. Aaron Judge batting second in right field. Anthony Rizzo batting third at first base. Gleyber Torres is batting cleanup today at second base. Willie Calhoun's batting fifth in DH. Anthony Volpe's batting sixth at shortstop. Oswaldo Cabrera batting seventh at third base. Kyle Higashioka's at the dish, batting eighth, and Aaron Hicks is in center field and batting ninth. We got DJ with a day off and a couple other folks, Harrison Bader with a day off as well. So with the first game of a series against Toronto. And on the mound, today's an opener game actually. They're starting Jimmy Cordero, power reliever, and instead of Johnny Brito. My guess is that Johnny Brito's his stats are rough in the first inning. His stats are okay in the second. His stats are rough in the third. He tends to settle down in the fourth inning. So my guess is if they can get 3 innings with Cordero, they'll move over to Johnny Brito. And if he pitches well, this might be a more reliable spot for him, particularly when guys like Carlos Rodon and Luis Severino come back, because I think they could do the same thing with Clark Schmidt. They could have 2 long relievers now with him and Brito, and be replaced by obviously the 2 guys that have been paid to be the starters here. So you never know, but that's what's happening today. Jimmy Cordero starting. Sounds like Johnny Brito will take over in the fourth inning if Cordero goes that far, which wouldn't be too bad, because then if Brito throws 4 or 5 innings, then that takes him to the 7th or the 8th inning. So not bad at all. So, and I think that's something they could actually work with every so often. But problem with us is we got to face Alek Manoah today. So our lineup needs to be on point, and we don't have Bader in it. We don't have DJ in there. So we are at a disadvantage at that point against Manoah right now. But crazier things can happen. So hopefully the Yankees are in on it today. They keep the runners to the running from Toronto down to a minimum, Hopefully they can pick their battles and maybe a little bit more situational what they're hitting today. But we'll see. We'll see. But those are the three names I want to throw out to you as guys that I think could be very well traded at the trade deadline. That's tonight's lineup. Let me know what you think, and we'll talk about it afterward in the post-game show. Have a great day, everybody. Go Yankees.